Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. We got ourselves a mailbag podcast coming off of a Giants victory versus the Commanders and heading into a game, the return of Joe Judge game this weekend. Justin, how are you?
Bobby Skinner, hello. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening to this. Gobble, gobble. Hope,
We have a Thanksgiving episode.
We will be having a Thanksgiving episode, but people won't be hearing it till Friday. So I'm having a
Every day is Thanksgiving.
every day is a day to give thanks, some say. So yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to see you. Usually the free tailgate, the game that we designate as a free tailgate is always the game that we always see a bunch of people, and we have, very loyal people like Mr. Brownstone. Like, it's like the one time a year that we really get to see everybody, and people travel from long and far. So I always look forward to the games that we designate as like, hey, here's the big meetup game, and that certainly is this Sunday against the Pats, and it's the Joe Judge revenge game. So I'm excited to see you, excited to see everybody.
Glad to see Joe Judge.
I'm kind of like excited about everything except to watch a game where we possibly could win, even though I don't think we will.
I'm excited to see Patreon members, which there's only one we're going to talk about today, and that's just Jay Cho. Jay Cho. Justin, who is Jay Cho? Cho Jay.
The run of pizza people ends. I don't think Jay Cho's Italian.
Actually, I think he is.
Oh, canceled. Patreon.com/TalkOfGiants. $2 a month plus some other tiers to get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail. Plus, there's some shirt raffles going on twice a month. Oh, also, shop.johnwaymedia.com where there's Black Friday sales going on for some shirts that we have on our store. Patreon.com/TalkOfGiants. Thanks for our patrons.
Before we get into the mailbag, Justin, this wasn't on the mailbag.
No.
Duggan reported that Andrew Thomas is playing with an MCL sprain.
I was right.
And by my intensive research of Googling, can you make an MCL sprain worse and have long-term damage? The answer is yes. And it's crazy because he's still really good. You can see the difference in the run game more so because you're having to push off. But the Giants are playing Andrew Thomas to an MCL sprain right now.
And they should not. And we've kind of had this argument a little bit back and forth the last couple of weeks. And Bobby, the first play on Sunday, we know Andrew Thomas can naturally walk with a little bit of a limp even when his ankle and knees and head and shoulders, knees and toes, even though he's fully healthy. Like, we just know that Andrew Thomas kind of just walks sometimes like he's got his shit in his pants. Hey, big guys do. But first play of the game against Washington, I tweet out, I think Andrew Thomas is hurt. And this is not based on his play, just me watching him. And lo and behold, I was right. And again, this goes back to the conversation that we've had of this Giants coaching staff does not deserve the benefit of the doubt with how they've dealt with injuries this year. I do not think Andrew Thomas should be playing.
Yeah, it's hard to say because
I'm not in the building. I know I'm not in the building. I know I'm not a doctor.
He's playing well. But if what Duggan reported is he has an MCL sprain, he shouldn't be playing. Like, that's the injury that Kayvon missed the beginning of his season with last year. Like,
didn't Neal have it last year too, and he missed a couple weeks?
Yeah, lots of guys get MCL sprains, and it's like, all right, you're out a few weeks. And Thomas is just playing through it, which, more, the whole, is he soft, when people were talking about the hamstring a few weeks ago.
Hell no.
That goes out the window. But yeah, they are playing Thomas through an MCL sprain, and I'm kind of dumbfounded by that. Like, it's hard for, like, knowing what an MCL sprain is. It's like hard to even believe that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think he should be playing. And you could say, well, and you had this argument too. Well, you're going to get your quarterback killed if Andrew Thomas isn't out there. Well, yeah, he's a good player.
We didn't have the injury, the reported injury of what it is. And I'm just never going to be in the business of guessing injuries.
Right.
But if and I'm sure Thomas probably told Duggan that it's an MCL sprain. And
kind of came out of nowhere where it happened last week. It didn't even happen against Washington. It happened against who did we play 2 weeks ago? The Cowboys.
Yeah, it happened in the Cowboys game. I mean, he left and came back. All right, take it away, Steve.
Mail time.
Mail time. The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
First question is coming from Nooner at One Giant Nooner. I know you felt that this is Tyrod's team when he gets back, but if Tommy DeVito has another good game, do you think the coaching staff will stick with him over Tyrod Taylor?
I do want to talk about DeVito's performance after watching like the film of it and being able to soak it in a little more. Here's the issues. I just don't see him being able to have a good game versus the Patriots defense, even though they aren't ranked very high. It's going to be a different animal. But if he did go out there and play really well versus the Patriots, yes. But I don't know if that's going to happen. And I want to talk about the good and bad of his play. But starting with and Tyrod Taylor should be the starter. I really do believe that.
Yeah, you just said yes. So where are you lying?
Actually, yes. The answer, if he can go out there against the Patriots defense and play well, not like have like a decent box score, play well, then yes. But from what we've seen from him, nothing. I don't see that happening.
Right. All right. So tell me about Tommy DeVito's game against Washington. Now that you had a chance to digest it a little bit.
Well, he made some good throws, right, and he made some aggressive decisions too, right? Like, it wasn't just like, he took some. He definitely had some wide open plays that helped him, right? The Darius Slayton touchdown, wide open. Daniel Bellinger up the field, wide open. And the next question is about how this coaching staff called this game and will it continue? And we'll talk about that. But like that 3rd and 13 before the Saquon touchdown, which again was not a crazy read or anything, but still a really good throw. Like he hung in there, he hitched and moved the nickel corner and fired a ball in there with great anticipation to Darius Slayton, right? And even in completion to Sterling Shepard, like they're running sail. They're playing man coverage, and he just fires, and instead of checking it down, he fires it in there, right? So there is some aggression to his game. The beginning of the game, scrambling and throwing the ball to Saquon. There's some good stuff that he does on film. Granted, again, it's against the Commanders, and we'll talk about that. But here's why I want it. I just don't see him as having an NFL starting arm, right? Like backup arm talent, sure, but like the ball placement is very erratic. 40, 45 plus yards down the field, and it's led to interceptions. There's been very bad timing on any type of quick game, right? And I get they got aggressive, but you have to run a quick game in the NFL, and the timing is very bad on it, and it leads to sacks and missed throws. And again, he has inaccuracies in the quick game too. The sacks are really bad. He bails on pockets that he shouldn't. When there's no need, like and stuff like just like the screen play, like just not throwing the screen and taking a sack. So that is all stuff that can be grown out of into becoming a good backup eventually, but better than Tyrod Taylor right now. No, I think the locker room would be very clear that Tyrod Taylor is better, unless he goes out there and plays well versus the Patriots. Because if he can go out there and play well versus the Patriots on how bad this Giants offense has been with Daniel Jones, with Tyrod Taylor, and with Tommy DeVito, and he plays against like a good defensive mind and Bill Belichick, and that defense does have talent. Their offense has really screwed them. They're in a similar situation to where the Giants were. Do we view the Giants defense as bad? No, but they're 29th in scoring. The Patriots are 28th in scoring. Then yeah, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It just kind of comes down to look at how much money Tyrod Taylor's getting to be a backup, and Tommy DeVito was not on the roster to start the year. And Tyrod Taylor is your backup quarterback that you're paying a lot of money, and that's Tyrod Taylor's role on this team. So that's really what it comes down to for me. But yeah, DeVito did good things. I mean, this was the most explosive game that the Giants had on offense this year, and it was the most explosive game that they've had since 2019. which is a crazy sentence to say. The Andrew Thomas Bowl, where they had 9 plays of 20 plus yards, they had 8 plays of 20 plus yards in 4 quarters, and that was Tommy DeVito. A lot of it was Tommy DeVito throwing the ball. So this is credit to him. He had a perfect passer rating on 3rd down, so many 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11 conversions. A lot of it has to do with there not being really any semblance of a running game through the first 3, maybe 2.5 quarters of the game.
And
but also some of it has to do with taking sacks, and also some of it has to do with Tommy DeVito just can't work the quick game like Bobby was saying, where you're putting yourself behind the sticks a little bit as a quarterback, and he kind of has that little bit of a gunslinger mentality, and that's why he was so successful on 3rd and long, because that's the type of offense that you're calling on a 3rd and long. So I still very much view this as Tyrod Taylor's team, and I think the reasons are very, very simple. I mean, the Tommy DeVito has been here for a couple games, was not even expected to start an NFL game this year, let alone see any action. And Tyrod Taylor has been a pro's pro for a very, very long time.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback flat out than Tommy DeVito.
And that's not a slight to DeVito. I mean, DeVito deserves a lot of props for what he's doing and the fact that he hasn't been a straight up disaster. And, even the box score stats look good, with the touchdown passes, or he has more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett and Daniel Jones, all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, and this conversation is kind of a tough one because the if is a lot bigger if than it sounds like, right? Because you're like, oh, if he plays good in this one single game coming off of a game where he played well in lots of parts of it, right? Like it sounds like, oh, that's possible, but in reality, I just don't see that happening.
Right.
Right. But because it is a big if that if does hit, like I think it should be entertained. I just don't think that if is going to hit on this one.
Yeah, I would agree. It's crazy how the pendulum is going to swing one of two ways, right? Tommy DeVito comes out, plays well against the Patriots, and I think if Tommy DeVito comes out and plays well against the Patriots, that means that the Giants win the game. I kind of think that that's what that means. And the Giants with a win, and this is from Seth Walder, ESPN Analytics, chances to earn a top 2 pick in the draft depending on a Week 12 result. The Giants with the win, their chances of a top 2 pick goes down to 11%. The Giants with the loss, their chances goes up to 47%. So it's very crazy how, like, we're either going to we're going to come on this post-game pod, Bobby, and we're going to be like, damn, DeVito struggled. We're going to see Tyrod Taylor, and we'll see what the offense looks like. But, hey, 47% chance, baby.
Oh, we don't have any tank questions on the mailbag, so we could do this here. I did a live stream for Bleacher Report the other day, and it was talking about this topic. And looking at all the other teams' schedules, if they win this game, they are not getting a top 2 pick. It's just not happening. They are not getting a top 2 pick if they win this game. This is the decider or not, right? And even if they lose, it's not impossible. But this is the decider because the Patriots are probably not going to win more than one game the rest of the year. The Cardinals can win some. The Bears can win some. But if you beat the Patriots, you're not getting a top 2 pick. It's just not happening because the Panthers with the Bears through the Panthers pick have essentially locked up number 1.
Yep.
All right, next question.
Next question is coming from Wes Locke at Westy Westicles. Hope to see you on Sunday, Wes.
Wes was in my hometown this week.
Oh, wow. Wow, look at that. Do you expect the coaching staff to stay aggressive, or will they revert to a more conservative versus better defenses?
This is what I am watching for this week, like beyond the result. This was the most aggressive this offensive coaching staff has been since week 1, since the first 3 weeks of last season, right? When they were trying to run what those guys had run in the past. Like they were running longer developing concepts that they used in Buffalo and Kansas City. They were running the leak stuff where like you're kind of tricking the defense, into leaving a guy wide open, right? And had some boomer bust plays out of play action. But the O-line held up pretty well in this game, despite the fact that they had 9 sacks. Those were mostly quarterback driven. And Saquon, by the way, we talked about DeVito having a good game. That was probably Saquon's, and one of Saquon's better receiving games. His worst pass blocking game since the Steelers week 1 of 2020.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like not just a sack, like he stopped plays from happening. It was very out of the ordinary for Saquon because he's really grown as a blocker. But yeah, they were running what they were kind of brought in thinking that they could run much longer developing stuff. concepts that like when they came over, like, okay, this is what they like to run, this is what they like to run, and they've adjusted to their personnel. But again, the Commanders were selling out against the run and already a very undisciplined team. The Patriots are not going to be that, but you would have to think, even though they won't be as aggressive, that they have to see some of that success and DeVito being more comfortable with that stuff and being like, you know what, let's get back to some of the stuff that we wanted to live by, right? And let's get back to being more aggressive. We don't have DJ or Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Like when we get a new quarterback in here, we're going to want to do this stuff. Let's start getting back to this as an offense.
And asking a quarterback to do it, right? Which they kind of asked Daniel Jones to do it, and he wasn't doing it. Now the difference is that you're facing a better defense. Washington was tied for last, or tied for the most explosive plays given up on the defensive side of the ball, explosive pass plays given up at 43. The Patriots have given up 30 pass plays of 20 plus yards. The Commanders 43. And the Patriots ranked 19th. So they're around middle of the pack. It's not like it's an extreme dichotomy of like you're playing the Jets defense, let's say, where they really don't allow big explosive pass plays at all. But the difference of defense does matter. And if there's going to be safeties that are going to be constantly playing deep and not going to allow that deep stuff, then they're flat out not going to allow it, versus dumb Jack Del Rio is going to leave an entire half of the field open on a 3rd and 2 for Darius Slayton to run for a 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah. But again, DeVito's not good at the quick game stuff, right? So I feel like they're going to want to try and live off of some of that stuff, but you're not going to be able to protect as well as you did versus the Commanders. I mean, the Commanders are just such, like you said, such disarray on defense. But yeah, that's what I'm watching for offensively, is how they do. We don't have any questions about the defensive changes. I put out a tweet because it was like, sometimes it's like broadcast is hard to tell exactly. You know how I chart the coverages and everything every week. Yeah. Boy, did Wink Martindale change it up, right? Where week 7 they basically ran man coverage 61% of the time, which is a lot, right? This week they ran it 15% of the time, right? Like they ran cover 6 19% of the time. They didn't run that a single time in the first week, right? They ran a lot more true cover 3 than they have all year long. Like they just didn't run man coverage. Like he really changed it up this week. And honestly, I think it might not be just like, hey, we're going to self-scout for what the Commanders do, is that they were starting to get beat in man. And honestly, when they played a little bit of man coverage in this game, they got beat. Like the Deontay Banks touchdown to Jahan Dotson. But Wink really threw I've never seen him throw as much of a curveball as he did this week versus what we've seen him do in the past.
Even post Sans Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson last year, where he changed a lot, this was more of an abrupt change.
What Wink lives out of cover 1, man coverage, right? And the second most coverage is quarters cover 4. That's just the way it goes. When you play teams like the Miami Dolphins, he actually runs a little more cover 4. But like he kind of will live out of that, and he's not throwing all these different types of zone coverages at you. Where last year, did they live out of a little more zone? But it was more just like, hey, we're living in a cover 4, but we're still playing our man coverage. This was absolutely the biggest curveball we've seen, and I think it might have to do with Adoree being possibly out, and again, the other guy's just not doing so well in man. Right. And so yeah, right on, I was charting it, and I was expecting to see more zone coverages, but it's like, no, they just ran zone essentially the entire game. And even the times when they did run man, like they did some 3-man rushes, right, where they had 3 guys protecting the middle of the field. So it's even like a kind of a version of zone versus man. So with man. So I wanted to put that in there after watching the film. Like Wink really the biggest curveball he's thrown as the Giants defensive coordinator.
And I like that. I like when Wink Martindale continues to throw curveballs and changes things up. Kind of like that. Goblins are real at Goblins Are Real 1. This is going to be my first NFL game. Everyone tell me things I should do while I'm there. Well, first of all, you should come to our free tailgate this Sunday. L16 on the curb. Bobby Skinner will be there. The van will be there. Madden will be there. Not John Madden. He's dead. but Madden the video game will be there, and we're gonna have a great time. I believe
John Madden died.
John Madden is dead. Yeah.
Did you see any of the turducken stuff over the weekend?
The who?
Turducken.
Who's that?
My God, dude. John Madden. He would put a chicken inside of a duck inside of a turkey on Thanksgiving.
Fantastic. Okay.
You didn't know that?
I thought they just ate. I thought they just ate turkey.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Before my time.
It was though, because
Here's the thing. Growing up, I was a Giants fan growing up.
We played on Sunday Night Football a lot.
But they didn't play on Thanksgiving growing up.
Ooh, is that true? But you didn't watch football on Thanksgiving?
But so when the game was over. I would turn it off. I'm like, all right, that's it. As a child growing up,
they would pull. I feel like you got to know that one.
I feel like maybe I should know that, and I feel bad.
Rest in peace, John Madden.
Rest in peace, John Madden. Come hang out with us. L16 on the curb. I believe Candlewick Diner is going to be catering. So, I mean, this is going to be your first NFL game. Everyone tell me things I should do while I'm there. Either before the game or after the game, you go to the Candlewick Diner. Tell them that Talking Giants, Justin sent you. Find Manny. And yeah, that's that. Because we're going to have a fun time. We're going to have a fun atmosphere. And there's going to be a ton of other Giants fans there that you can hang out with. And like my favorite part about the tailgates is like perfect strangers will just talk with each other, and they'll just talk Giants, they'll talk whatever, talk life, and you find new friends. And that's the Michael. What's the Michael Scarn dance?
And that's how you do the. I don't know.
Meet new friends. That's how you do the Scarn.
Speaking of events, I got so giddy today. Did you see the softball games back? LPG with Dexter Lawrence.
Yes. Are we going?
I mean, I would assume as long as like there's nothing that pops up that like one of us can't go, but yeah, we are gonna. I was going to pay out of pocket in 2020 to go up for it, and then COVID ruined it. I'm so excited for. I know that's in May. That's literally after the draft, but I saw that and I was just very happy for LPG, our friend, because he loves doing that. And again, it took a 5-year hiatus essentially, so I know he had to be amped to get that back going. We're first promotion of it now. Go to the LPG charity softball game, Dexter Lawrence softball game.
I expect to be doing something very big and very important for that. I'm just putting it out there right now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Calling it, streaming it on YouTube. Like I expect to. I want us to be doing something big and bold.
Yeah, those conversations can happen off camera, not put pressure on people.
Oh no, I'm putting pressure on Joe.
All right.
Right now.
Next question.
Next question is coming from Nick at Nick past tense. Will my dad ever love me?
No. Next question.
Michael at AP Skirbo. The pizza people like myself will come and get you if you don't read an ad.
Well, we don't want that. Did you see Tommy DeVito's agent?
Yeah, somehow even more Italian than he is.
Today's episode is sponsored by Shady Ray. Name a famous actor who played a lot of Italians in movies, Justin.
Ray Liotta.
There you go. You know what? Just when you thought, yeah, we lost you, you pull us back in.
Pull you right back in.
Hey, just when I thought that would. All right. By the way, I wear weird socks for every wedding. I had Tony Montana socks on for this one. Today's episode is sponsored by Shady Rays. 'Tis the season of giving. Get the perfect gift for a special someone, yourself, or both. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades and quick swap snow goggles that won't break the bank. I'm excited to hear the weather report for this game too, by the way. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. And if you're into winter sports, their quick swap snow lenses move effortlessly between full sun to low light environments. That's not all. Now the baby's playing in basketball. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, even if you're an A1 from day one, they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Like there's going to be the opposite of this mailbag. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. Shady Rays is currently in their biggest sale of the year for Black Friday. Don't miss out on the best deals for shades, snow goggles, and prescriptions and sunglasses. And prescription sunglasses. Go to shadyrays.com and try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people, which I'm sure many of them have the name Ray. You'll be glad you did. Justin, next question.
Oh, you'll be glad you did. The next question is coming from Alec A at NYG Alltex 626. What have you noticed from Kayvon's biggest increase in his game from last year to this year?
I think he is taking advantage of bad tackle play a little more. And something I've noticed, especially in this Commanders game, he's rushing tighter, right? Like he's not trying to go wide around or just trying to go outside in. He's rushing tight. And that is, when he does win, giving him a much better path to the quarterback where he's not going behind the quarterback. And he's using his hands better and stringing moves together within it, right? It's not just one hand move and go, right? Or going outside in, rip and go. Like he's stringing hand moves together and having confidence to play some head games with offensive tackles. But I still do think he really desperately needs to add a power element to his game that's just not there right now, and like work with better leverage, because better offensive tackles basically can just kind of wash him around the corner. But yeah, he's taking advantage of every bad tackle play, using his hands, and again having a tighter arc too. When he does win, turning that into sacks, which is the name of the game.
I do think he used his hands against Washington very well, and I think we saw a multitude of moves. There was back-to-back-to-back plays, Bobby, in the fourth quarter, where I actually clipped it up and I put it all on Twitter. There was the first play where Sam Howell got rid of the ball very quick, but Kayvon won the play against Charles Leno. The second play was a Kayvon Thibodeau sack, and then the third play was Kayvon Thibodeau had another sack, but I think he lost it, and I think it wound up being credited to like Jihad Ward. And I feel like all three of those plays, back-to-back-to-back, all kind of like played off of each other. And Kayvon did like different things with his hands to set Charles Leno up for the next play, where he added another element, maybe added a swim one play, a rip another play, pure speed another play. So Kayvon owns the Commanders. There's certain games where you could tell early that, okay, Kayvon's going to have a game here. You saw it early with the Jets that he was going to have a game there. Obviously consistency is what you want to see, but also I want to give Kayvon credit too, because I'm big into looking at Kayvon Thibodeau's season when you remove the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I did something similar too. So,
and he's, according to PFF, he's tied for 9th in pressures. The win rate isn't great. He only has 1 QB hit outside of all the sacks that he has, but again, like he's producing negative plays.
Yeah, if you have 5 sacks
rate,
and 6 QB hits, would be good, right? Like the QB hits are just turning into sacks.
Right, which is awesome, and it's actually producing those negative plays. But Kayvon Thibodeau is top 10 amongst edge rushers in total pressures since week 4, and also something that's impressive too. This makes sense that your observation, I think, matches up with the stats, Bobby. Doug Analytics puts out every single week like time to pressure. Kayvon Thibodeau's up there, like probably like top 5 in the National Football League amongst I think it's just amongst all players in overall time to pressure. So he's getting pressure on the quarterback at a much better consistent rate through week 4 to week 11. And I think that overall observation that you had about his overall path to the quarterback and kind of taking a smaller arch and having a more efficient path, I think that's matching up with the stats where his time to pressure is one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah. And like you said, I went through like just looking at his last 6 games and did that. Like I looked up his pressure percentage, which again, pressure percentage is sacks, hits, and pressures divided by pass rush snaps, right? And he's doing more sacks than the other things. If you look at the last 6 weeks, his is 11.2%, which again, more sacks than most guys. He would be 4th after Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, and Trey Hendrickson. And again, they're obviously like, and I was talking about this the other day. I don't think it was on this podcast, of like Kayvon's very young, is growing, and is doing things that like other young guys don't do. Like I'm excited about the growth, and I'm excited that he can do this while still having so much room to grow. Right? We're not talking about, oh well, he's got room to grow, he can grow. Like, no, he can grow, he's got room to grow, and he's still producing um fairly consistent, not super consistently, but fairly consistently.
All right, I'm going to look since week 7. Since week 7, that was the Jets game and on, I believe. No, fuck, stop doing this, Justin. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Look. All right, total pressures, he is... Where are you? 7 to 11. Where are you? Oh, he's down to 24th. Still pretty good, though.
He'd be 20th if you went from the last 6 games. So I don't know what week that was, but
second in sacks from weeks. Having 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 5 games, 7 sacks. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Next question is coming from Stream East commenter at PFF_Gabe. How would we be viewing the Joe Judge era in retrospect if he had never went on that post-game rant about reading an ad? Man, if that's what that rant was about, that's something.
You know how Joe Judge listened to Talking Giants, right? And he would make little jokes about it.
Yeah.
That motherfucker, if he was still the coach, you know damn right he'd be saying, "You'll be glad you did" every once in a while.
You know what? I think that's so true.
I really think he would have, right? Because, you know, Joe Judge was a Talking Giants fan. People forget.
In what context do you think he would say it? You know him. You listen to a lot of Joe Judge press.
Like, so I was talking to Jabril right there, right? And hey, I understand I was talking with him. You're not playing the reps that you want to play, but if you go out and you give everything, you're going to be glad. You're going to be glad you did something like that, right there.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. There's so much to be thankful for. Family, friends, food, Joe Judge, and NFL football all week long. That's right. The DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping your Thanksgiving week full of actions, and new customers can bet just $5 on the NFL action to score $150 instantly in bonus bets. No matter your appetite, there's something for you. Money lines, parlays, props, live bets, and so much more. You name it, they've got it. Put all the money in the world on tradition this Thanksgiving, and that's the Lions, not the Cowboys. Put all the money in the world on Lions. That's tradition, right? 100%. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code WORLD. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL Thanksgiving action to score $150 instantly, and bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code WORLD. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort in Kansas, must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific and responsible gambling resources. Eligibility, deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.com. DraftKings terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. You'll be glad you did.
I'm actually getting excited for Joe Judge returning and remembering.
You're laughing over there. You were giggling at something.
Well, I remember the Mr. Brownstone tweet where he posted Joe Judge at the thing and he put like a Budweiser in front of him. He's like, gonna have to punch the tape in the round holes for 60 minutes and leave it all on the town for this field. Which was a great tweet. I actually just retweeted it because it was that funny. Yeah. Gonna have to punch the tape in the round holes for 60 minutes and leave it all on the town for this field.
Leave it all on the
Remember
town
Joe Judge would have like a southern accent when he was talking to the fans?
Yeah.
Joe Judge was a funny dude. Like when we look back, I remember a lot of those memories fondly. And it was funny, like when we started pointing out some things after year one, it was like, no, there's nothing bad ever. It was just like the fan fest was we're gonna put it was. I fucking love Joe Judge. Next question.
Oh, the trash man at K Begley 98. With the struggles the Giants have experienced this year, What are the biggest changes you'd want Daboll to make going forward? Harder training camp, / practices, staff changings, evaluating personnel, etc.
I want to talk quietly about having harder practices and more preseason reps. Here's what I want to start getting loud about. Dude, get Thomas McGahee off this team. Did you see that they went out for a field goal block with 9 guys on the field?
Yeah, and it was like a different formation that it's like, oh, this
Dude,
is different and
he
kooky.
is
We're
not
gonna
a
try and
good
do
coach.
something.
There is no attention to detail. There is no like rhyme or reason for shit. There is no and then he has the goal to say, oh, we're getting ready to pop one. We're getting ready to have one. Yeah, I bet you we are, because we've been 4 years without one, right? Like when's the last time a Giants kick was returned to the 20-yard line?
Or even like over like midfield, or even like the 40 or 30, you know?
Yeah, I can remember like a couple that got to like the 50 or 45 or whatever. When is the last time? Like when is our special teams ever any type of advantage? I'm so tired of him being the special teams coordinator, right? And I went back a month ago, and I was like, I want to remember what exactly we said when Brian Daboll kept Thomas McGahee, right? And that was like in the beginning, when it's like anytime you criticize the new coach, people are gonna be pissed off. And I'm just like, why didn't you get your own special teams coordinator? Like what like go out and get your guy who you think it is. And then we find out the interview process afterwards. Maybe like the most egregious thing Brian Daboll ever did was stop the interview process with McGahee mid-interview. And it's like, you want the job, man. If that's true, I'm so tired of him being the special teams coordinator on this team. Get someone who is who is like living and dying with every breath, and when something bad doesn't have some excuse or say it happens. Like he has a you are a special teams coordinator. You cannot have a shit happens mindset at all, ever. Blaming fucking the track leaving. Like it's unreal. It's unreal. I'm tired.
Oh yeah, Bobby, you didn't know that?
I'm tired of him being the special teams coordinator on the Giants.
They knocked down part of the Meadowlands racetrack last year, so that really has impacted the wind at MetLife and how they're able to plan for things on special teams. You didn't know that? Part of the racetrack.
Also fired Bobby Johnson. There's no evidence of any offensive lineman improving technique-wise. JMS had his worst game of the year versus freaking, he wasn't even facing Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. Justin Pugh has the best technique outside of Andrew Thomas. Tyree Phillips' technique got much better after leaving for 7 weeks. I'm done tiptoeing around like, well, we don't know for sure with offensive line coaches. I want him gone too.
Yeah. The summer of sports science was something that I praised about. Oh God, I really never want to go back to any of those practice reports and be like, summer sports science is the biggest advantage of camp so far. I know that's not necessarily me talking about like training camp and like the level of intensity of practices, but man, how they dissect that data and how they just view injuries and how they deal with them for an organization that, and for a regime that seems to be so data driven, how ass backwards everything just has been this year not even compared to last year, but just so ass backwards, and every single move that they have made has been so wrong. Running Graham Gano out for an additional week, saying that he's fine, and then 4 days later, he goes on IR and season-ending surgery when you already knew that he needed season-ending surgery. You continue to trot out Andrew Thomas, even though he has suffered multiple injuries, playing Andrew Thomas for 3 additional quarters in a blowout game. I mean, Daniel Jones on the whole neck thing and the doctor's appointment, that was on Sunday instead of the Friday like it was the week before. So many things have just been mismanaged. Oh, the light went off. So many things
that ain't
have
a
just
Motel
been,
6 you got over there.
So many things have just been mismanaged by this staff and by this medical staff, by the coaching staff, whoever's fault it is. It has had an impact on how this season has gone. And it's so crazy how special teams and this whole talking point of injuries, they're so interconnected because Andrew Thomas got hurt on a blocked field goal. So it's like Thomas McGahee not having his shit together led Andrew Thomas getting hurt. And then Graham Gano missing field goals against the Jets. That resulted in an actual loss versus losing Andrew Thomas, probably resulted in like the offense looking really, really bad instead of it maybe just being like average or just bad-ish. So all these things are interconnected. And also, man, like, why did Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen seem to have much better chemistry and understanding of like roster moves with each other when they were signing guys off the streets and off of practice squads last year than like bringing on Paris Campbell? Like, that's been terrible. Like, I know the offense has been terrible, but Paris Campbell has also been just flat out terrible. You know, that's just one example that's coming to my head, but like, why is there, they had such a strong connection last year between that pro personnel department signing these guys off the street versus this year, kind of like the moves that they actually made this offseason. That connection seems to be not gone, but it just different.
Yeah, where this year, like the bottom of the roster moves are like, hey, we have 4 running backs with Deion Jackson and Joe Corbin.
Right.
And
right. When you could be having an additional blocking tight end. Like even little things like that have such an impact on an offense. Like, you're not using any of these running backs, yet we all know how important a blocking tight end is in this offense, because the second that Daniel Bellinger goes down, everybody loses their minds. Sterling Shepard being on the roster is another example.
He got the second most reps out of all the receivers this week.
Congratulations. He's still a good route runner too, which is crazy.
Yeah. Next question. La Quinta.
Next question.
Did you see Deshaun? So I just did it too. Sterling Shepard's pro comp for Jalen Hyatt.
Where did Deshaun Watson come from?
That was Sterling Shepard's pro comp for Jalen Hyatt on Big Blue Banter.
You said Deshaun Watson?
Yep.
No, that's not true.
That's what he said.
Deshaun Watson's a quarterback.
Glock Roach posted it.
Well, Glock Roach.
No, I'm telling you, go look for it. It went viral.
Glock Roach has posted like troll things in the past.
No, but it happened.
Sterling Shepard said that his pro comp for Jalen Hyatt, a wide receiver.
He meant Deshaun Jackson, but he said Deshaun Watson. He also couldn't remember Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm's names, which people started making the CTE jokes. Something I've always wanted to do is because we've had the opportunity to do those sponsored interviews, like in La Quinta. I just want to interview Sterling Shepard for 10 minutes and just keep asking him questions about La Quinta.
The hotel?
Yeah. Whoever's sponsoring him. He was sponsored by La Quinta. And just keep asking him about La Quinta. Anyways, what's a big memory you have from being in a La Quinta, Sterling Shepard?
Was that who the Big Blue Banter interview was sponsored with La Quinta?
Yeah, Pat Leonard's too.
Wow.
You never seen those? It's
no
radio hit stuff. All right, next question. La Quinta.
Love La Quinta. Free ad. Yeah,
we gave them way more ads than those interviews did. So look at us, La Quinta.
NYG SOS tracker at Glock. Speaking of the devil, Glock _Roach_. You mentioned Mara's hesitancy to move on from Jones. Do you think he'll go as far as preventing Shane from trading up in the draft?
We kind of caused a shitstorm on the preview pod last Friday and didn't talk about it because the Giants won a game.
You really did cause a shitstorm.
Yeah, and it was funny because it was the day where it was literally the day of my sister's wedding, so I wasn't able to pay attention to any of it, which is probably better.
Appreciate people that clipped it up, by the way.
Yeah, that helped. So I think the Mara conversation always gets muddied, and we really haven't had these conversations a lot since the end of 2021. Is Mara meddling and making decisions, or is he letting his displeasure be known? And they have let Shane and Daboll know that they're not okay with this season. Now they're not getting fired, but they are not okay. And there's been reports on that too. We had these conversations a lot at the end of 2021. It's again not saying that Mara you are keeping Daniel Jones. It's just people want to please their boss, right? So even if their boss says you're running this, but you know what your boss wants, it's always tough, right? And Gettleman, he was bad GM for a lot of reasons, but one of them was he was always just trying to please Mara, right? And that's essentially how he got the job, because he knew the buttons to push to get John Mara to give him the job. And then, throwing Shermer under the bus. And there's other examples of that too. Right? Is Shane Will Shane not do something that he believes because of that, right? And and another thing is I do want to dispel too is like Daniel Jones was signed because Joe Schoen wanted to sign Daniel Jones too, right? That's he's not the quarterback. He wasn't signed because John Mara wanted to be. It was because Joe Schoen wanted him to be the quarterback.
And Joe Schoen does deserve like responsibility and it deserves for this situation. Like I feel like we're acting as Giants fans, and I sometimes want to push back on you when you say this. Like, you can get out of the Daniel Jones contract. Like, you can. Like, the Giants can have their cake and eat it, too, and get out of the Daniel Jones contract and draft a quarterback. But it's still going to suck. Having a $47 million cap hit next year on a quarterback that you do not want to play fucking sucks. And having what I think is $22 million in cap space that's going to be freed up, but $20 million in dead cap the next year if you cut him, that's still really does suck. Like, it won't be the end of the world for Giants. They can get out of the contract, but it still sucks to have any dead money hit that starts with the number 2, which that is something that, we thought that we would hopefully be leaving behind in the Dave Gettleman era. Now, luckily it's with the quarterback and it's not with any position player because that
they
would
also
always
added,
suck.
they restructured it in training camp, which made it worse too.
Yeah. So Joe Schoen does deserve flack for listen,
I just think no one thought that Daniel Jones would play his worst ball of his career this year, and that's why I don't lose my mind on it. But with the gift of hindsight, yeah, it was obviously a mistake, and it obviously hurts. Like, it's just nobody envisioned to being in this spot at this point. Nobody.
But John Mara being the one who actually signs the checks, right? Because that's what owners do. It's his money, it's his team, and I know he's got a lot of it. And I'm not saying that John Mara's broke because Daniel Jones isn't a worthy contract extension, but still, this is a result business. And Joe Schoen just shelled out a lot of money through 2-3 years, and now the answer is, well, we're 1 year in, and it's just, hey, John, it's just not going to work. Sorry, man. Like, there should be displeasure that showed from John Mara about that, but I am still of the belief that you need to let the football people run the football operation.
Absolutely. Now, this is where Glock Roach, I'm glad he asked this question and not just, will Mara stop him from getting a quarterback? Because, like, if the Giants have a top 2 pick, I don't think there's any way they are not getting a quarterback. I don't think there's any possible way. But if they win this game and win one with Tyrod Taylor, then you're at like pick 7 or 6. I could definitely see Mara not explicitly saying you can't do this, but being extremely anti-trading up and trading away a future first-round pick and 2 or 3 second-round picks and assets. I can definitely see him being very, very against that, which is where it gets – that's where it gets a little dicey with the Giants, right? And that is why for the first time I am on the tank, because I don't want to have to trade up either, right? Like, I want to just have one of the top 2 picks, take a quarterback, and that's it, right? And get to keep our second-round picks and keep our future first-round picks. So,
yeah,
that's why this game is the biggest game of the freaking year.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there about, do we think Mara's going to stop? I hope Mara wouldn't stop Joe Schoen.
I kind of hate doing that's why we did what we did Friday, because that wasn't just like speculation. I actually do hate doing I hate doing the guessing game with Mara, because then you start doing conspiracy theories.
Yeah. If anything, you've talked about this before. If anything, Joe Schoen on the phone, or even Brian Daboll on the phone, operating a trade too. I think that's what happened with the Rams last year. He called McVay. This front office on the phones and making trades, that's something that I feel good about, because I feel like the Giants have never been like, I've been like, oh, I feel like we really gave up too much value, or I feel, oh, we traded back here, we traded back twice, look at how much we got back in return. That's one area where I feel like Joe Schoen knows how to appropriate and assign value to certain things in trades. Obviously drafting the correct player in a spot is something that, you could say is leaves a lot to be desired from Joe Schoen so far. So that's the issue, is that to getting the right player, not Joe Schoen operating the phones and understanding value. I think he does understand those things.
And that's why the tank is also on too. It's like it's not just because you want to have one of the top 2 picks and not have to trade. It's like having the 3rd or 4th pick is so much more valuable than having the 6th or 7th in a trade, because then those teams get to trade down and get the same player they wanted, and feel good about they're not missing out on Marvin Harrison Jr. or Olu Fashanu, while also being able to say, hey, we got future picks in this too. So, in fact, I what was the Solomon Thomas, Mitchell Trubisky trade? 49ers, Bears, Trubisky trade, because that was a 1 pickup type of trade. It's for 4 total. And so the Bears trade, obviously, pick number 3, this year's 3rd and 4th, as well as the Bears. Wow. That's a pretty damn good deal for the Bears to move up 1 spot, despite the fact that it was for Mitch Trubisky.
For Mitch Trubisky.
And they could have just drafted Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Jackson. As
Or Deshaun Jackson.
All right, next question.
Mr. Brownstone, this is the last question. Danny, what's the weather going to be like for Sunday? Forecast calling for natural light in L17. It's actually L16, Mr. Brownstone. Natural light's starting a little early. You boys ready to win?
Woo! It's gonna be a game. Make sure to come out. The Flint. We gotta figure out. Actually, it's just the return of Joe.
The Flint.
Again. The Flint, Michigan. The Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Don't worry, we'll have water. Tough. Tough joke.
So, come out to the. Will we have water for all those people, or is it kind of bring your own drinks? I guess we'll have water for them. We're not going to be providing alcohol.
No, we're not providing alcohol for the free tailgate.
No,
we will be providing everything else though.
Yeah,
like just regular drinks.
Yeah, come on out, baby. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be up. Also, if you are in the area, I'm going to go to Reds Saturday night. The Big Blue UK guys are like doing a little event there. So if you are in the area, go out to Reds.
Nice.
I'm going to at least stop by in for a little bit there. So we'll hit a little bit more of that on the preview pod. I'm very excited for Thanksgiving and all of that stuff. We will see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.